What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, and this is the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, and this video is going over my experience with the phone after having it for 2 weeks now. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, and at this point, I've had the phone for almost 2 weeks. I just dropped off my S24 Ultra at FedEx, so I did trade in that phone for this phone, and that's certainly a really nice thing they're offering because I was able to do the whole upgrade for only $400. Now, that is a lot of money, but this is an expensive phone. Now, my full review about the device will be out in several weeks, and I've had the phone, honestly, for a bit too long at this point to call the video a first impressions video, so that's why I just want to share with you my experience after having the phone for a bit. Now, as a refresher, here's the box the phone does come in. So it is a slim box, and that's because there is no USB wall adapter included. Whoops, and it pretty much opens up by itself. Now in the box, we're getting a SIM card removal tool. We're also getting a double-sided USB-C cable for charging and data transfer. And then finally, we are getting the quick start guide here. Now this phone does have 45-watt fast charging, which is impressive. Of course, you do need a wall adapter that is compatible with that. But also what's interesting is that this time around, the USB-C cable that does come included here doesn't actually support up to 45 watts. So if you do want to recharge this phone at its maximum speed, you also cannot use the cable that comes included. So that's a new thing this year, just want to point that out. Now when Samsung announced that they were moving towards a more rounded form factor here, especially with the corners of the device, I was actually a bit disappointed because one of my favorite things about last year's S24 Ultra and the predecessors to that phone is that the corners were super sharp and squared off, which in theory meant that you'd actually get more screen real estate. But actually, I feel like Samsung's approach this time actually gave us the best of both worlds. So the corners certainly are more rounded compared to the predecessor, but at the same time, they are still boxy enough so that you're still getting that same screen real estate effect. But also in return for that, the phone is a bit more comfortable to hold in the hand. Now in comparison, I do feel like Apple and Google Pixel do take things a bit too far with the rounded corners because it's almost like a complete curve. So again, great job Samsung on kind of giving us the best of both worlds here with the S25 Ultra. And then with the S24 Ultra, the corners on this side of the phone were actually a lot more curved. So this time around with the S25 Ultra, it's a lot more boxy. And I feel like this was also a good decision. It makes the phone feel super premium and high end, and also a bit different compared to the OnePlus 13, for example, as that phone not only has a rounded bezel, but also it has rounded sides to it and even a curved display. So I actually really like how Samsung implemented things here. Another big difference with the S25 Ultra is the S Pen. So unfortunately, it was downgraded this year. So there is no Bluetooth in the S Pen. So you're losing out on certain functionalities, such as being able to capture a photo from a distance away. So it is kind of more of a basic S Pen now. It doesn't have those advanced features. So there are still quite a few features, and you can go to the settings, search, type in S Pen, and then go there, and go here, and you'll see all the various ones here, such as Air Command, Air View, S Pen to Text, all of that. But there used to be an option here called Air Actions, and that has been removed from the device. In addition to that, I saw some other content creators have actually taken apart the S Pen for both this phone and the S24 Ultra, and they found that the internals of the pen too are completely different. So it's not like this pen has Bluetooth in it, and they decided just to not enable that feature. It literally does not have Bluetooth. Now I'll be showing you a lot of various camera samples in the full review for this device, but so far I've had a really good experience with the various cameras here on the phone. Now the S24 Ultra also had really good cameras, but I feel like this time around they've really taken things to the next level, and in addition to that, there's also log video, which I'll also be going over in the review. So all these various improvements with the cameras, despite the actual hardware not being much different, we do have a better ultra-wide camera, but other than that, it is very similar, but they've done a lot of tweaks on the back end, clearly, and then also a lot of AI enhancements to really make the photo and video experience way better here with the device. Another highlight with the S25 Ultra is the Snapdragon 8 Elite, which is the processor here in this phone. Now the 8 Elite is the latest and greatest from Qualcomm, and it runs really well. This phone does not get hot at all, even when setting up the phone initially. It wasn't getting warm, and that's not always the case for every smartphone. I remember many of those devices getting very warm when you're setting up the phone initially, but again, this phone is really fast right out of the gate. Also, speaking of it being fast, we are getting Samsung's One UI 7 here. That update has still not been deployed to other Samsung phones. Now, it will be happening pretty soon, but as of right now, this device is the only way to experience One UI 7. So who knows, maybe at the time that you're watching this video, other phones will be finally getting that update, but they've really completely rebuilt One UI, and it's certainly for the better. There's a lot of things here that I like about this update, a lot of cool features, and I will be going over all of that in a separate video, so keep that in mind. But Samsung already took one of my favorite Android skins and made it even better here. But again, I'm a big fan of this design. I don't really like the colors though that came out this time around with the S25 Ultra. Like this color, for example, is supposed to be blue, but it certainly does not look blue to me. I actually think the regular S25 and S25 Plus have better colors to choose from. I don't know why that they give their most expensive phones the worst colors. And another thing too is that you can see that the phone does pick up a lot of fingerprints. I literally wiped this phone down prior to making this video, and there's already quite a few blemishes in the back of the phone. It doesn't help either that the camera modules really pick up a lot of dust, not necessarily on the lenses themselves, but in the various grooves here, which does make it a bit annoying keeping the phone clean. I don't think any of that is a deal breaker, but it seems like Samsung every other year gives the phone a good material, then a bad material, then a good material, and then a bad material. So the S24 Ultra, for example, had a really nice material that didn't pick up any fingerprints, and that should be the expectation for a phone with a matte finish, but clearly this phone has a matte finish and you can still see the fingerprints. And then with this device, we are actually getting a slightly larger display compared to last year's phone. It is 6.9 inches, it is dynamic LTPO AMOLED 2X, and we are getting a 120Hz refresh rate here with the phone. We're also getting a great looking 1440p display with excellent viewing angles as well. The PPI here is 498, we're getting a 19.5:9 aspect ratio, and then finally we're getting a 92.5% screen to body ratio. And again, we're getting symmetrical bezels all around the phone, and these bezels are very small, super small bezels overall. And the phone is actually the same size as the predecessor, but the display here is slightly bigger like I mentioned, and that is due to the bezels shrinking down even more. But I hope you enjoyed my video about my experience with the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra after 2 weeks. Again, I've had a great time using this phone, and I do intend on using it throughout the year, so certainly stay tuned for future content about it, and I will be getting into further detail about the various specifications and features that we're getting in a separate video, but I really just wanted this video to be an overview on my experience since getting the phone. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. This is Kevin here, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and have a great rest of your day.